What were you doing music-wise before The Voice?
I spent my formative starving artist years in New York. New York's so interesting because you just cobble together a living. I taught lessons to kids who I barely knew what language they spoke. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, I lived in a very like Hasidic neighborhood. And so like, sometimes I'm like, kind of pantomime the lesson, you know what I mean? But it was like, New York is magical. And I cannot say that enough. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I learned to live on $8 a day. That was wild. A lot of pizza. That's the shortcut.
Did you have one of those apartments that you could barely fit in?
I think my room was illegal in the Brooklyn apartment.
I see it all the time on Instagram. These tiny apartments, it's like $4,000 a month, but it's a shoebox.
We had bed bugs at one point.
Oof.
Oh, bro. But like, here's the thing. It's one of those things where I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No.
You know?
It's character building too.
Bro, even in the midst of all that, I would wake up and I'd go to my keyboard and I'd be like, I'm gonna write a song. And so before The Voice, I was doing that. And I knew enough to realize that songwriting is the key. And like a lot of my friends who have done these shows, I think they think it's a shortcut to something.
Mm-hmm.
Seldom is it a shortcut to anything. You know what I mean? You do it, you kind of get a little buzz on it for 6 months, and then someone else does it, and then someone else does it.
Exactly.
And it's like a treadmill. And so I said, I'm going to do The Voice, and I'm going to go back to songwriting because maybe it'll get me 4 extra meetings. You know what I mean? But that's it. It's not going to do much. Not to say it wasn't a wonderful experience, but you got to go back to the thing you do and make sure you're good at it.